At the beginning of the story, we see a man named Danny Dog, who is tied with a leash around his neck like a dog. Danny is a human, but he is treated like a dog. Danny has been trained since childhood to kill humans. As soon as the leash is removed from his neck, he becomes extremely violent and starts killing people like a machine. Danny continues killing everyone until his owner tells him to stop. Once the leash is removed, he loses control and, like a ferocious animal, kills anyone in his path except his owner. But as soon as his owner puts the leash around his neck, he becomes completely calm. And as long as Danny is on the leash, he does not hurt anyone. Danny also suffers serious injuries during fights. However, Danny's owner has trained him in such a way that he feels no pain at all. Actually, Danny's owner, Victor, lends money to people. When Victor doesn't get his money back after the deadline, Victor releases Danny's leash and beats them all up. After that, Victor comes to the man and takes his money back, warning him that if he doesn't return it on time, he won't stop Danny. Victor then takes Danny to some other people from whom Victor owes money. When they refuse to pay Victor, he releases the leash from Danny's neck. Again, Danny goes completely mad and beats them up, giving Victor his money back. But despite Danny making Victor's difficult task easy, Victor shows him no respect at all. He treats Danny like a dog and constantly scolds him, treating him like a dog. Danny isn't even given a room to sleep in, but is instead locked in a cage like a dog. One day, when Danny returns from a fight, one of Victor's men notices that his head is bleeding profusely. The man then tells his boss that Danny is hurt, but instead of healing Danny's wounds, Victor tells him to bandage his head, and he'll bandage it himself. But Danny's mind is like that of a child, and the poor fellow doesn't know how to bandage it because he's never seen the outside world and has spent his entire life in this cage, from childhood to now. Here, he lives completely alone. He has no one to talk to. At night, Danny finds a book in his cage with alphabetical letters. He flips through each page, examining the drawings, until he spots a drawing of a piano. Seeing the piano, he begins to caress the drawing, as if he has a long-standing relationship with it. Just then, Victor brings a girl in, and just as Victor is about to become intimate with her, she sees Danny in the cage below. Seeing Danny, the girl runs away screaming. Victor's money and his night are ruined, and he begins to curse at Danny in anger. But Victor's words don't have much effect on Danny, as he can no longer discern between right and wrong. The next day, Victor takes Danny to work again. This time, he has to collect money from a boxing club owner. The boxing club owner brings a very prominent wrestler in front of Victor. The owner thought Victor would run away in fear after seeing this wrestler. But when Danny beat down some of the boxing club owner's men, the wrestler backed off and refused to fight Danny. The wrestler told the boxing club owner, "Boss, give him the money. Otherwise, Danny will beat us all up." Victor then took Danny to a very influential man who also owed him money. This man was a major hero smuggler. Therefore, Victor politely asked for the money. The man was very cunning and knew that if Danny's leash was released, he would not leave them alive. So, before Danny could release his leash, the man caught Victor and began beating him mercilessly. All this happened right before Danny's eyes. But Danny did nothing because the leash hadn't been removed from his neck. The man tells his men to kill Victor first, then leaves, leaving Danny to pursue a business deal with another party. Meanwhile, Victor manages to free himself from the men, immediately unties Danny's collar, and tells Danny to kill them all. As soon as the belt is released, Danny attacks them and brutally beats them. More goons arrive, but Danny kills them as well. Victor then takes Danny to the place where the man was conducting a business deal. There, Danny grabs the man and throws him around. The man's arrogance vanishes, and he tells Victor, "Take whatever you want from me. Just spare me from Danny." Victor knew the man was a diamond and gold smuggler, so he goes straight to the man's bag and steals all the gold and diamonds. Here, we see a man named Tom, who used to organize illegal fights, and he is impressed by Danny's fighting skills. Victor had already received gold and diamonds from the man in exchange for money, but he is still furious with Danny because Victor was inside being beaten by the goons while Danny watched in silence. So Victor's men kick Danny into the car and head straight to their hideout. There, Victor tells his men, they were beating me in front of him, but he was standing there watching. Victor tells Danny, you'll never change. You'll remain an animal. Poor Danny listens silently. Days pass like this, and Victor punishes Danny by withholding food and water for a few days. Danny remains locked in a cage, hungry and thirsty. After a few days, Victor releases Danny from the cage because he has to collect money from a man. But Victor is now afraid Danny might make another mistake. So, Victor takes Danny to the place where he first goes inside and demands his money back from those men. If they don't give me the money, I'll press the remote button, which will turn on the red light. As soon as the light turns on, you must go straight inside and attack them. Victor repeats all this to Danny over and over again, so that Danny gets the idea that he must go inside as soon as the red light turns on. Victor then goes inside with his men, and Danny stands upright, staring at the light. He'd been waiting for quite some time, but the light bulb wouldn't light. Meanwhile, Danny's eyes fell on a broken piano, and Danny had seen a drawing of one in a book a few days earlier. So he went straight to the piano and started touching it. Just then, a man named Sam appeared from behind. Sam was blind and a piano teacher. He also worked on repairing broken pianos, and he had come here to fix this very piano. Sam called Danny over and asked his name, but Danny didn't answer. Sam told Danny, I'm a piano teacher, and I'm here to fix this piano, but I'll need you here. He told Danny, I'm going to the other side of the piano. When I tell you to press the buttons, press the keys. Danny played the piano, and Sam began tuning it from behind. Danny was having a great time playing the piano, and in the process, his attention was diverted from the red light. Meanwhile, Sam told Danny, I hear a ticking sound. Can you hear that sound too? Hearing this, Danny immediately turned his attention to the light and saw that it was blinking. Seeing this, Danny ran straight to Victor, but it was too late. The goons had beaten Victor to a pulp. Victor was now furious with Danny for having kept the red light burning for the past half an hour. To punish Danny, Victor brought him to his base. Putting Danny in a cage, Victor contemplated what punishment he should give Danny. Just then, Victor's man came to Victor and told him, Boss, someone wants to meet you. But Victor was in no condition to meet anyone right now, so he refuses to meet the man. But then Victor's man tells him that he's a very wealthy man whose work could fetch them a substantial sum. Hearing this, Victor immediately agrees and invites him inside. When the man comes in, we discover it's none other than Tom, who had watched Danny's fight a few days earlier. Tom tells Victor, I've seen your fighter fight. His fighting skills are exceptional. That's why I want to make a deal with you. The man says, I organize a fight every month. If your fighter wins, you'll earn more money than you could ever imagine. But this fight is so rewarding because ours is a tougher form of fighting, requiring a fighter to kill the opponent to win. Victor, already angry with Danny, was contemplating a more severe punishment for him. So, Victor accepts Tom's offer. The next day, Victor accompanies Danny to the venue, where Danny is scheduled to fight a fighter. Tom approaches Victor and introduces him to his fighter, saying that no one has defeated him in the last 15 fights. The fighter looked tall and fierce, but when the fight begins, Victor unties Danny's belt and tells him to show his power. Hearing this, Danny lunges at him at full speed and delivers 2 or 3 punches to the fighter's throat, putting him to sleep forever. Everyone gasps, and Tom, the organizer, is stunned that the fight is over before it even begins. Victor receives his promised money. He is overjoyed, as it represents his entire year's earnings, and he no longer needs to work. He declares that he will always have Danny fight here and earn a lot of money. Today, he is overjoyed. So he asks Danny, "Tell me, Danny, what do you want?" Danny remains silent for a moment, but then he says, "I want a piano." Hearing this, Victor mocks him, saying, "What's the point of a piano? Come on, I'll take you to a nice restaurant today and introduce you to a girl, since you've never been with one." But Danny says, "No, I just want the piano." While they're talking, a truck comes and hits their car, causing it to overturn. Then, some men emerge from their car with weapons and open fire on them. These men are all the men of the gold smuggler whom Danny had beaten a few days earlier. Everyone is killed in the attack, except Danny, who escapes and heads straight to the place where he first met Sam. Sam, sitting there repairing the piano, hears a noise and realizes it's Danny. Danny is badly injured and faints from the excessive bleeding. When Danny regains consciousness, he finds himself on a bed in a room. Seeing this, Danny becomes extremely frightened, as he wasn't used to sleeping on a bed, and Victor had always made him sleep on the floor in a cage. So, he hides under the bed in fear. A little while later, Sam arrives. He immediately realizes Danny is scared, so he quietly places his food under his bed and leaves. A few days pass like this, but Danny doesn't come out of his room. One day, when he emerges, he sees Sam playing the piano. But as Sam's stepdaughter, Victoria, enters, Danny runs back into his room, frightened. Victoria then goes to Sam and asks him what Danny likes. Sam tells her that Danny loves music. Hearing this, Victoria quickly picks up a piano and goes straight to Danny's room. Danny is hiding under the bed. Victoria gives him the piano and leaves. A little while later, while Sam and Victoria are having dinner, Danny comes out with the piano. Sam tells Danny to come and sit with them. Sam gives Danny food. But Sam eats it in a very strange way, as if he's a dog, not a human. Seeing this, Victoria realizes Danny doesn't know how to eat. So Danny teaches him how to eat with a spoon. Danny still acts like a child, and he gulps down all the soup in one gulp. Seeing this, Victoria and Sam laugh at Danny. Danny, unsure of why, laughs louder. Danny joins them in laughter. After dinner, when Danny goes to his room to sleep, Sam comes to him and tries to remove the leash from his neck. But as Sam reaches out for his neck, Danny immediately stops Sam, knowing that the leash could unleash him and accidentally harm Sam. Sam doesn't force him too much, telling him to take it off whenever he feels like it. The next day, Sam takes Danny to the market so he can learn how to interact with people. Sam teaches him how to shop. After they arrive home, Sam teaches Danny how to cook. In the evening, Sam tells Danny that Victoria must be out of college, so he should go and bring Victoria home. Danny then goes straight to Victoria's. On the way, Victoria feeds Danny ice cream, takes him to the cinema, and also teaches him to play the piano. Sam was quite happy with his life and was now socializing. At night, Danny returns home and finds a photo of Victoria and her parents in the closet. He realizes that Victoria is Sam's stepdaughter. Upon asking, Sam explains, "Victoria's father died in a car accident, and Victoria's father was a good friend of mine. That's why, after his death, Victoria's mother and I got married. Everything was going well. But a year later, we also had an accident, in which Victoria's mother died, and I lost my eyesight." Hearing this, Danny feels very bad for Sam and Victoria. Days pass like this, and Danny begins to feel like a member of their family. Danny is beginning to feel normal, but they haven't been able to remove the leash from Danny's neck yet. One day, Victoria comes to Danny, and while talking to him, tries to remove the leash from his neck. But as soon as she touches it, Danny begins to have terrifying thoughts, as he was trained to kill everyone if he removed the leash. He is terrified that he might hurt Victoria. Victoria tells him that he has completely forgotten his past, and that this is the last thing he can remove, and he will be completely free. Hearing this, Danny says nothing to Victoria, and Victoria removes the leash from his neck. Nothing happens to Danny after removing the leash. Danny has now learned to control himself, and is now completely free from Victor's slavery. The next day, Sam takes Danny to the market again. They begin shopping, but then some thugs enter the market and start vandalizing it. Seeing this, everyone in the market runs away in fear. But Danny stays put, and when the thugs come to attack him, he defeats them one by one. Everyone there is amazed by Danny's fighting skills. Back home, Sam asks him, "How did you do all this?" Danny tells him the whole story about how a man named Victor treated him like a dog and abused him so much. That night, Sam takes Danny to work, where he repairs a piano. While repairing the piano, Sam tells Danny that as soon as Victoria finishes her studies, they will return to New York. Hearing this, Danny becomes sad, as he was worried that these people would leave him alone. But then Sam tells Danny, "I want you to come with us, because now you are also a part of our family, and without you, our family is incomplete." Hearing this, Danny is overjoyed and hugs Sam. Agreeing, after completing the work, Sam gives Danny the money and says, "You also helped me fix the piano, so half of the money is yours. Go buy something for yourself at the market with this money." Danny then heads straight to the shopping mall and buys his own things. As Danny leaves the mall and starts to head home, one of Victor's men approaches him, startling him. The man recognizes him and asks, "Where have you been all these days? We've all searched for you. Now that we've found you, come home with me. The boss is waiting for you." Danny, overjoyed with his new life, refuses to leave. Hearing this, the man says, "If you don't return, the boss will send his goons to find you, and they will find you and kill you. Therefore, it's in your best interest to come back with me." Now, reluctantly, Danny returns to Victor. Victor is overjoyed to see Danny, as he was the source of his wealth. Victor was seriously injured in the shooting that day and spent several months in the hospital. Upon reaching Victor, Danny asks him, "Do you know my mother?" Victor replies, "I found you half dead on the side of the road. I raised you and took care of you. You're alive today because of me. Otherwise, you would have died of hunger and thirst on the side of the road that day." Victor, for his own benefit, begins to speak to Danny with great affection, believing that only Danny could compensate for the losses he suffered over the past few months. The next day, Victor puts a leash around Danny's neck and takes him to a fight, where they meet Tom. Tom says, "Today, they're going to double the fun of the fight because dangerous weapons will be used during the fight." Tom shows them a fighter and says that Danny has to fight with him today. He just killed another fighter a short while ago. But Victor doesn't care who the opponent is because he knows Danny will kill him easily. Victor then unties Danny's collar and tells him to knock him out. But Danny isn't in the mood for a fight. He says, "I don't want to hurt anyone." Hearing this, Victor becomes enraged and pushes Danny down into the fighter ring. As soon as he falls in, the deadly fighter lunges at Danny, hoping to kill him. But instead of fighting, Danny simply tries to escape. The fighter launches a deadly attack on Danny, but Danny simply blocks his attacks. But the fighter refuses to stop. It seems he's determined to kill Danny. Enraged, Danny is about to punch him, but he stops his attack. Seeing this, Tom asks Victor, "What's your fighter doing? He's not even fighting." Victor picks up an axe and throws it down, telling Danny to kill him. But Danny doesn't pick it up because he doesn't want to kill anyone. Seizing the opportunity, another fighter picks up an axe and begins attacking Danny. But Danny, despite the opponent's axe, easily dodges it. Seeing this, Tom becomes enraged and tells Victor, "I'm going to double the fun of this fight." With that, he sends some more fighters into the ring, further increasing the danger for Danny. Together, they begin to brutally beat Danny. They pick him up and throw him down, which breaks Danny's patience, and he returns to his previous ferocious state. Danny then grabs each one and hits them. Seeing this, Tom throws down more weapons, but Danny is no longer bothered. Even the three of them together are unable to harm Danny. He picks up a hammer and breaks one fighter's bones, and then rains down punches on the other, severely injuring him. Seeing this, the third fighter, frightened, gives up the fight. When all three fighters admit defeat, Victor calls out to Danny from above, telling him to kill them all, because according to the rules, if Danny doesn't kill them, Victor won't get paid. But Danny disobeys Victor and leaves them alone. This enrages Victor, who, despite Danny's excellent fight, didn't earn even a single rupee. Enraged, Victor takes Danny to his hideout, where they beat him severely because he disobeyed Victor during the fight. Victor then locks Danny in a cage again. Meanwhile, we see Sam and Victoria, both of whom are deeply worried about Danny's whereabouts, with Victoria the most distressed. She says, "I even removed the leash from Danny's neck, and he's been living happily with us." They had no idea how difficult a situation poor Danny was once again in. We then see Danny, locked in a cage, desperately wanting to be with Victoria and Sam. He doesn't like this kind of life at all. So he manages to break free and goes straight to Victor's room, where, after a thorough investigation, he finds a plethora of photographs. Among those photos, he finds a childhood photo of Danny standing with his mother. Seeing this, Danny immediately approaches Brad and says, "You said you found me on the side of the road. But how did you get my mother's photo?" Victor then tells Danny, "Today, I'll tell you the whole truth." Victor says, "Your mother was a prostitute, and she was always visiting me. But one day she died, and I liked your mother, so I raised you as my own son." Hearing this, Danny realizes Victor is lying. My mother couldn't be a prostitute, but Danny remains calm and walks away. The next day, Victor is about to take Danny to the fight ring again. On the way, Danny swerves the steering wheel, causing a serious accident. Danny then removes the leash from around his neck and runs to Sam and Victoria's house. There, he tells Victoria, "I found my mother's photo." When Victoria sees the photo, she tells Danny, "Your mother seems to be from a very good family, and I think she was a piano teacher, because her mother is seen playing the piano in the photo." Sam is also present and listening to their conversation. Sam then asks Victoria, "What else do you see in the photo?" Victoria, looking at the photo, tells Sam that Danny's mother had the photo taken in an auditorium. Victoria explains every detail of the auditorium to Sam, and Sam understands which auditorium it is. The three then arrive at the same auditorium where Danny's mother had the photo taken. There, an old librarian tells them that this woman came here from China years ago and was an excellent piano player. But one day, she suddenly disappeared. She had a son, and after his disappearance, no one knew about his son. The old woman gives them another photo of Danny, clearly showing his mother's face. They then return home. That night, when Victoria enters Danny's room, she finds him looking at his mother's photo and remembering her. This makes Victoria very emotional. She takes Danny's mother's photo from him, examines it closely, and determines what music his mother was playing in the photo. To bring a smile to Danny's face, Victoria asks him, "Would you like to hear what music your mother used to play?" Danny immediately says yes, after which Victoria begins playing the music. As soon as Danny hears the music, he begins to relive his childhood. He remembers a time many years ago when he was a child, when one day his mother, completely silent, hid him in a closet. Then some goons enter his house, and Victor was also among those goons. And Victor starts harassing Danny's mother because Danny's mother had borrowed some money from Victor. And today, Victor wanted to snatch Danny from Danny's mother in exchange for the money. But as soon as some goons start snatching Danny from his mother, then Danny's mother comes in between and starts stopping Victor, due to which Victor gets angry and shoots Danny's mother. And then Victor picks up Danny and takes him with him. Seeing all this, Danny realizes that the person responsible for his condition and the person who killed his mother is none other than Victor. Danny relays all this to Sam and Victoria, telling them that they must quickly pack up and leave. They must be looking for us. If they come here, they'll kill both of you, including me. Meanwhile, we see Victor arriving at the same market where Danny used to shop. Victor shows an employee Danny's picture and threatens to kill him if he doesn't give him this man's address. Terrified, the employee gives Victor Danny's address. Just as they are about to leave, Victor's goons arrive outside Sam's house. Danny quickly locks Victoria and Sam in a cupboard and runs to another house so that Victor doesn't find out which house Danny used to live in. Outside, Danny begins to fight the goons. But the goons were unstoppable. It was as if Victor had put the entire city on Danny's trail. Danny, however, refused to give up, killing all of Victor's men one by one. Victor tries to provoke him by saying, "Danny, remember your mother. I've done so many things to her. I used to do wrong to her every day." Hearing this, Danny loses control of his anger. Before Danny can kill Victor, Sam hits him on the head with a flower pot to shut him up, knocking him unconscious. With no one to provoke him, Danny calms down. A short while later, the police arrive, arrest Victor, and send him to prison for life. Days pass like this, and Danny has found a new family. Danny is now very happy, completely free from his hellish life. At the end of the movie, we see that thousands of people have come to see Victoria's musical performance. But before the music starts, Victoria says, "I'm dedicating today's music to a special person." Danny then tells Sam that she's talking about him, but Sam says, "No, she's talking about you because you're the most special person to her." We then see Victoria playing the music Danny's mother wrote. Danny is overjoyed. The story ends with this. If you like the story, please subscribe, like, and leave a nice comment. Thank you.